everyone, Andrew here for ABELI Reviews, and just as the title of this video suggests, today we're talking about module management and what to do when your power limit is exceeded. So I'm going to give you a demonstration. Oh my, we've now lost our shield, our power limit is exceeded, our modules have been depleted, our guns don't work, we are going to run out of oxygen in 24 minutes. We are not sitting well. So what happened here? Well, if we look over to the right-hand panel, we can see all of our modules are turned off. They're red. That's essentially the ship's way of telling us we have gone way overboard, right? It's sort of like if you blow a fuse. You've put too much power into a system that just cannot handle it. And now it needs to be solved. So we can see here that everything's off right now. So first things first, let's close those modules. Let's put everything away. So I've decided to put everything back. The ship will start to come back online, but everything's going to start at zero, right? My shields were wiped out because the power was cut from it. My oxygen's going to start coming back in, but we're back in business. All right, so we are operating again. But our modules are not out, and that's when I press select. And all that really means is I'm pulling out my guns. I'm getting myself ready to fight or do any sort of exploration or fun stuff. So how do we solve that? Just like I said before, over here on the sort of home screen for everything on my ship, everything from me, we have a series of modules. And these are basically anything that we've put on our ship. Now, of course, there are ways to alleviate this sort of system. One of the first things you could look into doing is, I think I scrolled right past it, is getting a larger power plant for your ship. That's going to essentially allow you to take more on and accept more energy. It's going to have more of an output. But at the end of the day, you're probably going to end up putting more stuff on than even the best power plant at a default level can do for you. Now, there are people that are maybe going to say engineer it, make it big and stuff. These are intro videos. We're not going to focus on that stuff. So how do we solve this? Well, we have this list of modules, and they're all kind of in what looks like an Excel document. Of course, the easy thing would be just to click into one of these things and just deactivate it, right? Okay, now we're not even using hardly anything. This thing's using 25% power. But if my thrusters are off, I can't go anywhere. So that's not really helpful. So let's activate that again. And you can even see my usage changed. I'm right at that 100% mark right now. So how do we solve this? Well, that's why they have this lovely priority system. And that's on the right-hand side. So you can see where it says thrusters on the left, 6A, which tells me the type. It's an engine, the power percentage that it's using, its overall health, and then its priority. So the priority can be set essentially as many as we want as long as we build up to it. I typically go to 5, and I'll show you what I mean when I say that. But what we're essentially doing is giving things a priority. We're saying this thing is more important than another. And that doesn't mean that you can't use certain objects. What that basically means is there are going to be things on your ship that are really important at one moment and others that are important at another, but they're not equally important at the exact same time. A really great example is I'm always going to want my thrusters, right? If I'm in combat, I definitely want my thrusters. If I'm just flying around in space, I'm going to want my thrusters. They are very important. They're not really specific to a single task. So they would take priority 1. Same thing for my shield generator. We're going to want that shield generator. We always want to be safe. You always want your shield out and about when you're out there. Beam lasers. Well, now we sort of look at this. My beam lasers, I guess they're only really important in combat. So knowing that, we can say, why don't we put our beam lasers at a different priority? So there are 2. We'll choose 2 for right now. Now, all of these settings are going to be based on how you play and your particular style. We're just doing these for demonstration purposes. And I find myself sometimes changing them. It's kind of fun to go in there, get under the hood. But for now, we'll just sort of use this as a conversation and talk through the system and what's going to happen. Okay, so beam lasers. Let's set all of those because I want them all to work at the same time. I definitely need them, but they're not the first priority. So we'll set them as 2s. My sensors, well, I don't want to get lost. I want to be able to target things, so I consider that a 1. They are sort of important at all instances of the game. A shield cell bank. Okay, so what that does is it's a module that essentially helps boost my shield when it starts to go down. It's important, probably more important during combat. So I'm going to put that as a 2. All right, so now we have a few other things. We have 4 shield boosters, and they use about 4% of the power, so they're reasonably up there. Well, they're probably important, but they may not be as important as, say, the shield itself, my thrusters, stuff along those lines, but they're still key. I think what we're going to do is let's set those as 3s. They are important, but I think they might make sense as a 3. I don't really necessarily put them right there with my weapons. We could, but we may want to move things around. Power distribution. Definitely want that as a 1. Life support. I think that's a key one, right? We even saw the life support got cut real quick and I was in trouble. So we're going to set life support as a 1 as well. Let's push some of these down a bit. Oh, okay. Multi-cannons. Those are just like my beams. So let's put those in the 2 category. Cargo hatch. Well, it's important, but I don't really haul a lot of cargo on this ship. I don't think I want it all the way out. I don't want it to be out the way at the end, but it's definitely not super, super important. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to set that as a 3. So now we've got our first 3. Well, you can see here kind of at the bottom, our output is still at 100%, but our usage is still at that 100. We're having some issues here. If we turn some stuff on, some things are going to get killed, or they're going to turn off. But we're starting to make some blocks, and I can see that there. My frame shift drive. Ooh. So I think it's important to be able to use that. I want to be able to escape at the right time. But I don't necessarily need my frame shift drive out at the same time as my guns. So I could actually put that somewhere different. So I put that as a 3. Ooh, the fuel scoop. This is where this stuff kind of comes into play, right? I cannot have my weapons out while I'm fuel scooping. Because there are 2 different instances, right? You're fuel scooping when you're going around a star in Super Cruise, and you're using your guns when you're sort of just in standard flight mode. So they don't have to be on the same thing at all. And it's using 2%. So let's put fuel scoop at a 5. Oh, nope, at a 4. That's perfect. My docking computer, kind of the same thing. I'm not really going to have my guns out when I'm docking. So let's choose a 4. That's really good. My fighter hangar. Now I do consider that part of the guns. So we're going to set that as with the guns section. Super Cruise Assist. Kind of the same thing as the docking computer. It's only out when I'm not fighting. So we'll put that as a 4. Then we get to the cockpit canopy. All right, we are all set. So we're still kind of at that really funny 1% range. So knowing that my fuel scoop is so specific and it's taken that 2%, I think I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go to 5. Now I want to see what's going to happen when we turn everything back on again. So let's hit select. Boom. 1 thing was cut. Just 1. So let's go through that list to see real quick. Now we can see here, everything else still works. While my guns are out, the only thing that gets turned off is my fuel scoop. So let's test this real quick. So we turn our guns, they get put away, all that good stuff. My modules come out, fuel scoop is ready. Well, let's see what happens if I would have kept that at a 4. Now the priority level has a few things it can pick, right? It's going to see my advanced docking, my fuel scoop. What else is at a 4? Super Cruise. Let's see, do we have any other 4s on this list? Nope, everything else is 1s and 2s. Okay. So we're still exceeding it, of course, but it doesn't matter because we can still use all of our stuff. Let's go down and see what got turned off this time. So you can see in this balance, just because only maybe one of those things, right? Just the fuel scoop with its 2%. But instead, we took the advanced docking computer down and the Super Cruise Assist because they were on the same priority. That's where your system's essentially saying, I need to make space, and you told me things in 4 aren't important, so I'm going to turn the whole 4 off. So in this instance, it does make sense to just sort of inch our way there. So let's just make the fuel scoop be a 4. Now, it only really needs a little bit of percentage. Fun fact, what's kind of actually happening here is the usage is probably going to be way more on other ships. On mine, it's probably like 100.2. There's really very few things that I probably need to account for, and we can test that. So let's put something else that's a 1%, like this guy, and put this one down. See how it doesn't have to eat into 4? It really is like we're just off by one minor percentage. So I'm pretty fortunate the way that I have my ship set up and the things I have. Everybody here can kind of live, and I only really need to cut one thing to kind of move forward. But again, fuel scoop's kind of silly. The rest of the stuff could go, and even if it does need to eat in more, the advanced docking computer, the super cruise, those are things that could be taken down next. And I could have them all get smoked if I wanted, but it's nice just to choose the fuel scoop. At least that's how I choose. Of course, make your own numbers, but the goal is you want to have as much operational as you can without sort of taking away from those things that are important based on the instance or what you're trying to do at that time. So now everything works. We can fly around, no problem, and everything's great. I do hope this video was helpful and kind of explained a little bit about sort of the output, what happens when you overheat or overuse your ship's power. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to answer them in the comment section below. Thanks again, and have fun and be safe out there. Bye.